Hello, virtuous thought leaders, scholars, and virtue change agents. My name is Dr. Lisa Marie Portugal, and I am the Leadership Architect. I'd like to welcome you today to another talk that I have prepared for you and in service to you and your goals out of one of my books called A Culture of Excellence, Virtuous Leadership Principles for Organizational Success, a Management System. And the cover slide is the cover of the book. The four cardinal virtues: prudence, justice, fortitude, and temperance. There is my leadership brand logo. I love virtuous leadership, and as you can see, there are all of the virtues listed, and when we can practice all of those every day and convey those to others wherever we are and whoever we engage with, we can work on building magnanimity, the virtue of magnanimity, which is the virtue of greatness in the self, in others, in our communities, our families, society, and hopefully nation. Okay, so here is our table of contents. And this particular talk is part 2 of a 2-part little series. This is called Should Leaders Punish in the Workplace? And the table of contents, we've got my About page, Understand the Situation Before Acting, Advancing Virtuous Leadership Through Virtuous Training, The Virtue of Behavioral Integrity, I love that word, and I love integrity. Virtuous leadership relates to trust and well-being, and then finally, of course, the conclusion, where I commonly ask you some questions to think about. So today's question that you can reflect on throughout this conversation as well as the rest of your week: how can you teach virtue to others? And in all of your interactions, right, in your personal and professional relationships, how can we teach virtue to others? And of course, we're always modeling, right? So that's one way. So understand the situation before acting. I love this graphic. The best leaders lift people up rather than tear them down. And I think a lot of times people don't really understand what real leadership and management is. It is helping others become the best they can be and spreading our virtuous behavior and helping others become more virtuous so that we can live in a better society, in a better nation and world, and help others bring out the best of their gifts. Okay, so a progressive discipline system in the workplace can involve counseling a staffer regarding performance and ascertaining whether he or she understands their employment obligations. Ascertaining if there are any challenges or issues that may be contributing to insufficient performance can be part of the conversation. Issues of this nature may not always be directly noticeable by a supervisor. Solving these problems, if possible, can be a positive step forward. One example of a challenge could be that the staffer does not understand the objective regarding what he or she should be contributing. Another example can involve poor attendance because the staffer is taking time off to care for an ill family member. A staffer did not previously explain this situation to a manager who could have referred the staffer to human resources to address the circumstance under FMLA eligibility for time off. So basically, what this section of the talk is describing is, make sure that we understand what's going on with those that we're working with before we jump to any conclusions. And let's see if there are other ways that we can help them, right? All right. Advancing virtuous leadership through virtuous training. I love this graphic. We are what we repeatedly do. Excellence, then, is not an act, but a habit. Isn't that fantastic? All right. And that can be your role as well as a manager and leader of others, is to teach this concept to people. So according to virtuous leadership researchers Cameron and Wynn in 2011, findings of interest in a documented study validated that when employees are exposed to virtuousness training, individual virtuous scores on the assessment tool used in the study had significantly improved. So you as that leader and manager or coach and mentor, engaging with others wherever you are, even on a personal level, you're modeling virtuous behavior. And if you can submit virtuous training to others, help them understand that, what virtue building is, character development is, that's going to directly reflect possible changes in other people. And that's where we want to go with this. So moreover, when virtuousness is evident within an organization's modus operandi, or MO, right, organizational effectiveness in various areas is notably improved. In a study conducted by Hendricks et al. In 2020, findings underscored that advancing virtuous leadership is an encouraging route to improving staffer well-being, which may optimally profit both individual and organizational performance. Thus, threats, coercion, manipulation, and fear tactics do not need to be part of an organization's discipline system, but rather advancing virtuous leadership through virtuous training, programming, and coaching can be beneficial to organizational success. So as you think about this, if you are a Jesus Christ-centered person, how might you embody some of these ideas when you're talking about what you can bring to the table when you're interviewing, right? Maybe you're working in a secular environment and you may not want to bring up Jesus's name, but you can always bring up some of these virtuous leadership concepts. And of course, if you can bring up his name, that's always good too, right? Okay, so let's move on to the virtue of behavioral integrity. According to Hendricks et al. 2020, when considering a more tightly defined and coherent classification of virtues and by focusing on character, virtuous leadership can eminently contribute to the social environment in organizations and stakeholder outcomes in comparison to other leadership styles such as transformational leadership and ethical leadership. Furthermore, their findings revealed that organizational virtuousness and a manager's embodiment of the virtue of behavioral integrity positively linked employee work-related well-being. So this is another reason why I love virtuous leadership, because if we can model these types of behaviors and this behavioral integrity in our own interactions with others, that's going to create a sense of well-being in anyone who interacts with us. I know for myself, if I'm working with someone with high integrity, I'm going to have more trust. I'm going to feel better on the job. I'm going to want to do my best for that person. I'm going to want that person to advance themselves because I trust this person. I like this person for helping me, for, giving me integrity, and treating me well, right? And also improving myself, helping me advance whatever it is that I want to advance in the world, right? So if somebody can do that for me, I'm going to work harder for that person. So think about how you can embody these kind of ideas when you're working with other people so that you can get that buy-in from them. All right, so let's move on to the next slide. Here's a nice quote from Stephen Covey, and he came up with the principle-centered leadership model. Without trust, we don't truly collaborate. We merely coordinate, or at best, cooperate. It is trust that transforms a group of people into a team. Very cool, right? In spite of a time-worn interest in virtues that leaders should or could possess, a lack of consensus on defining aspects related to virtuous leadership has restricted an understanding of its effect in the workplace and on subordinates. Building on recent progress in measurement and conceptualization of virtuous leadership and leader character, Hendricks et al. 2020 addressed a void by examining how virtuous leadership might relate to employees' trust and well-being in the workplace. Their findings present a coherent, virtuous leadership framework that is distinct and different from other leadership concepts such as charismatic leadership and ethical leadership. All right, so let's move on to our conclusion slide, and let's take a look at this graphic. Integrity in the center, and we have all these great words that surround it. Principles, behavior, moral, values, character, ethical, honest, and learning. So all of those things we can model for others in both personal and professional engagements that we have, and we can teach these things to other people so that they can raise up their own game. So let me ask you these two questions. How will you help others build virtue? And why is virtue building important for healthy living, healthy communities, healthy society, and healthy nation? So when we take a look around at our nation and our world and our communities, and we see things that we know may not be the best for people or for ourselves or for our families, how can we help other people understand that building virtue within the self is very important? And why is virtue building tied to healthy living and healthy society and healthy nation? So I'm going to leave that on your table to let you think about and ruminate, and maybe you'll come up with some of these answers for yourself, how you might model it in your own behaviors, how you might teach these concepts to others in your own creative and innovative way, and how you might convey this when you're interviewing for that job that you want. Okay, so that is the end of the talk. Here is my reference from my book. I want to thank you so much for being such an awesome person, caring about raising up your leadership and management game. That is so cool. And it is always my honor and my pleasure to serve you. God bless you.